Hey guys, thank you for being here for another daily reflection. As we turn to today's first reading found in Hebrews 7, we learn about Melchizedek. So what do we learn about Melchizedek? Well, first, he was the king of Salem. We understand he was the king of Salem, but also a priest of God from the Most High. We also understand that Melchizedek does not have any family lineage, no mother, father, ancestry. The scriptures say without the beginning of any days or the end of life. He is seen here in our first reading and mentioned as a type of Christ, or an anointed one, and ultimately represents a priesthood that is unique and eternal, unlike the Levitical priesthood that we see as well. I want to go back to the reason why I think that this is being brought up to this letter to the Hebrews. First and foremost, we need to consider the audience. Most likely, this letter was directed to the Jewish Christians. We understand through the context of what we've already discovered through the letter written to the Hebrews, that this letter is meant to encourage a group of these Jewish Christians who had grown weary in their faith. They had demonstrated their own set of weariness due to the demands of Christian life, in addition to a weariness that was associated with this idea of their pilgrimage to this heavenly Jerusalem. And again, we talked about this in yesterday's reflection. I think that we're in good company as we think about our own lives and the ways in which we grow weary because of the demands of the Christian life. Jesus himself and his priesthood comes from the order of Melchizedek, this everlasting priesthood, and one that ultimately fulfills the promises of the Old Testament. We also understand that Jesus has authority over the law, and we see this once again pretty clearly in today's gospel, where Jesus heals the man with the withered hand. However, it's this healing that takes place once again on the Sabbath day. And who's there to look for these slip-ups? His adversaries. Once again, they were watching him like a hawk as he enters the synagogue and sees the man with the withered hand, waiting to see what he would do. And Jesus, already understanding what's in their hearts, recognizes the man with the withered hand and calls him out. Jesus addresses his adversaries and says, "Is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath rather than to do evil? To save life rather than to destroy it?" Jesus heals the man in plain sight. We ultimately learn that Jesus' priesthood is superior to the Levitical priesthood because it's everlasting. We also see that both passages contrast the limitations of the Old Testament sacrificial system. And in today's gospel, we find that Jesus not only has authority over the Sabbath day, but he also has compassion. So if Jesus' priesthood is eternal and everlasting, then what is stopping us or restricting us from turning to him who has authority over the restrictive tendencies or obstacles and who has compassion on us? Today's reading should encourage you to lay down your restrictive tendencies that keep you from experiencing Jesus' authority, compassion, and healing. Do the demands of Christian life have you feeling weary today? Or are you bound by some sort of restrictive tendency or obstacle that keeps you from going to the Lord, who has authority over all of those things that keep us bound, who has compassion and wants to give us his healing? And as I think about this amazing power of his grace, this sacrifice, and his everlasting priesthood, I think about the legal rights of the unborn in this country and all around the world. Let us pray that Jesus Christ, who has authority over the law, would have compassion not only on us and the things that we need from him today, but for all of the unborn and innocent lives that are in this country. Friends, thank you once again for tuning in for another daily reflection. I look forward to seeing you soon. And until then, God bless.